Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a review of this 24 color Holbein Artists Watercolors, which I have been using for a few years now. And in this video I will also be swatching all the colors, mixing some colors, and playing around with the paints a little, so you get to see how these paints flow, mix, lift, and everything else. And finally, I will be doing a quick demo of how to paint this minimalistic cafe in Penang with these paints, so do stick around for that. So Holbein watercolors are made in Japan and have been around since the 1920s. They are professional grade watercolor paints, and this box contains 24 5mm tubes, which are seemingly small, but just a little bit of the paint does go a long way, so I have been using them for quite some time now. So as you can see, some of these tubes are basically fully squeezed out already, except for the few colors that I rarely use. I also have this extra tube here, which is Payne's Gray, which I bought separately, so I'll swatch that one together with the others later for you to see. So one color that I surprisingly used quite a lot was Jaune Brilliant number 2, and it's kind of like a skin color, and I use it also to mix pink tones for like flowers or buildings and clothes, etc. I loved using some of these blues, especially this ultramarine deep, and I also loved using the browns. So I have bought extra tubes of ultramarine deep, burnt umber, and burnt sienna. 3 of these are single pigment colors. The least used colors for me are the ivory black and the Chinese white. And the white sometimes I use for mixes of pastel colors. Black I really seldom use, and I will show you why when I swatch these colors. So I got this tin box to make my own watercolor pans. So what I did was I filled 24 half pans with the paint from the tubes, and I let them dry, and after that I just used them like they were a pan color. So these half pans on the outside are the Holbein colors, whilst the ones in the middle I added in later, and they are from Van Gogh. And these paints, they really remain smooth when they are dry, and they re-wet really easily. Alright, now I'm going to swatch each of these colors on this 100% cotton paper. As I mentioned before, these paints reactivate really easily from the dried pans. And these colors are bold, saturated, and they can be somewhat opaque even when in thicker consistencies. And yet they are really transparent when you use lots of water. Usually when I make a mistake with this paint, it's really easy to lift the paint, but I noticed that this was quite hard, probably due to the sizing of the paper going bad. So it's been a very humid past month here, and I made the mistake of leaving the sketchbook open and exposed for too long. So yeah, the paint wouldn't flow properly and I couldn't lift any paint. So well, yeah, the lesson is always keep your watercolor paper sealed up properly, especially when it's raining. Anyway, let's try some color mixes. So the first one I'm doing here is ultramarine and burnt umber, aka the replacement I use for black or gray. So when this color is wet, it actually looks almost the same as ivory black, but when it dries, you can see the pigments kind of separating out, so you get a very interesting gray instead of a very flat gray or black color. So here I'm trying to lift the paint and I'm failing miserably. So I will show you how easily this paint actually lifts on better paper. So now you can compare these two blacks. You can see that the one that I just mixed has like a tinge of brown and blue, and it's not just one color. So that's something that really intrigues me about watercolor, is that one color can look like two colors, and it's just amazing to me. So in this box there are 3 red colors. Actually vermilion is kind of orangey, but we'll just call it the three red colors. And I mixed these 3 reds to make this other red that I find more natural. A lot of the time I actually prefer to use mostly one of the paints and to add a little bit of another paint to it to kind of adjust the tone slightly. So it doesn't create a whole new color, but changes the tone of the paint, like mixing terra verde with a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm going to use Payne's Gray right out of this tube, so you can see the creamy texture that it has, and it's very, very intense color. There's a lot of intense pigment right there, so a little bit is already enough. Now I'm going to use a different sketchbook to paint so that you can see how the paint flows properly and try some lifting as well. One of the things that is special about Holbein is that they do not use oxgal or other dispersing agents, so these watercolors, they move quite slowly, and this allows the artist more control over the dispersal of the watercolors. So paint is quite easy to control even with a lot of water. So let's try some lifting of paint. As you can see, it's pretty easy to remove paint even when it has dried. So long as you use good quality paper, lifting paint should be easy. I continue to experiment and play with the paint and water, which was really fun, especially since these paints give a lot of control and they don't go like flowing everywhere. So it was really fun, and I painted these 2 little planets. Overall, I really love this box of watercolors for the vibrant color, the versatility, and the control. However, there are some colors that I don't really use, but I guess that's not to say that I won't use them in the future. If you compare Cotman watercolors with Holbein, Holbein is definitely more saturated and vibrant, but I suppose that is partly due to Holbein being from the tube and Cotman being from watercolor pans. So now I'm going to paint this cafe in Penang called Forest Cloud, and it's just a quick and simple sketch. I'm painting the leaves on the tree first with the green mixture from earlier. And after I've painted the first layer, I then add some ultramarine to darken the green for subsequent layers. Next, I used burnt sienna for the windows, and I made sure it was really wet so that I could add some burnt umber as a shadow and make sort of a gradient, especially on the windows that are in the shadow of the tree. By the way, you can get the reference photo for this piece in the link down below. I will provide the link and you can download the picture for free because it's a picture taken by me. For the tree trunk, I use the ultramarine plus burnt umber mixture that we mixed before. I added some Prussian blue to the ultramarine and burnt umber mixture in order to create this dark blue for the awnings on the cafe. Here I'm using a little bit of cerulean blue, which has been dulled down with the ultramarine and burnt umber mixture to paint the windows and the doors. And finally, we are putting in the shadows with, again, the ultramarine and burnt umber mixture. So you can see why I really use two of these colors so much, because they are so versatile. I use them in mixes as shadows, and they work so well together. And it's done! Hope you enjoyed this simple sketch and review of these watercolors. So here I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed, commented, liked, and supported me. It has been a truly wonderful time for me to be able to share this love of art with all of you. So I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.